Welcome to the Brunch and Learn with Community Action. My brunch is a cup of coffee. Feel free to have your own morning beverage or snack while we get to know each other here today. I'm going to let a few more people in. According to our RSVPs, we've got about 40 people who RSVP'd today, so we'll just take a minute and let everybody get into the room. Well, welcome everyone to Brunch and Learn with Community Action. I'm Liz Jennings, Director of Community Engagement. It's great to see you all here. We today are focusing on community actions for resource centers, real world places with real friendly people where our own staff, partners, community members can send people to get information and referral and find help, friendly folks to walk alongside to help people problem solve around the issues that they might have. Today, I should say that these Brunch and Learns are monthly 1-hour programs that started way back in the dark ages. We suspended them during the pandemic and we're back. And instead of the old-fashioned lunch and learns where people had to show up at a real place, we're doing these virtually. Each month, we focus in on a big community need, the partnerships that Community Action and many other organizations, governments, and nonprofit organizations have forged to deal with that big picture problem. But we really focus in on Community Action's role in solving that problem. So this is an opportunity for Community Action's own staff and volunteers and community partners and community members to learn about who we are and what we do. And it's also a good way to get to know the people because great referrals are not just information sent in an email or a list of organizations. Good referrals are relationships so that we can help each other, help the people that we are all serving. So we're really excited today. I'm going to ask our speakers today to wave at us when I introduce you. We have, let's see, is Dulce with us? Not yet. All right, I'm going to ask a staff member to ping her. She might actually be dealing with something in a resource center, but hopefully she'll be able to join us. Dulce Vasquez Cruz is our resource center manager, and Stephanie Semro is our East County Resource Center manager. Gina Peterson is our Anacortes Resource Coordinator, and Vernon Hunter is our Veterans Liaison. Wave, hello. So good morning, everyone. Today we're going to start by talking about what is a resource center. And since Dulce isn't able to be here right now, I'm going to do my version of it, Liz's version. So resource centers are a key access point where it's a friendly place and friendly people who can help anyone in the community connect to resources and services that can help their families get through a crisis, help them make ends meet, and help them get ahead on their goals. Sometimes resource centers provide kind of a light touch, just resource navigation. It might be a phone call or a walk-in, and someone just doesn't know where to start accessing food, housing, or basic needs. And in fact, according to our data, because Community Action is accountable to lots of different entities, and so we keep records. And actually, most of the people that come through our resource center doors or who call us only ask for help once. Sometimes when people are in a crisis, they just need a little bit of help to figure out what the next step is, and then they're able to navigate resources on their own. Other times, people have complex issues, long-term issues, or they're working within systems that are really confusing, and that's where our resource centers and a handoff to Community Action's care coordinators comes in. So we're going to hear more about that. One of the things that is a hallmark of our resource centers in Mount Vernon, our Mount Vernon Resource Center, our East County Resource Center, our Anacortes Resource Center, and Skagit Vets Connect, a special resource center for veterans and their families. One hallmark of that is that when possible, Community Action staff and volunteers provide immediate direct help with things such as hygiene items, access to emergency food, getting connected to ongoing support with food, such as signing up for basic food, which back in my day, we called food stamps. And understanding what is or isn't available for housing. And that's one thing we're going to talk about later is what's the role of resource centers in housing and homelessness? Because as we all know, Skagit County and Washington State, the whole country are facing a serious housing shortage. The lack of housing affordability, the lack of housing availability is pushing all of these other community needs. And so that immediate direct help is needed to help not only people who might be experiencing homelessness, people who are living outdoors or in their cars, but it also helps folks, for example, maybe somebody just got a really good job, but they can't afford to get there. So it can be short-term, one-time help with things like transportation, a bus pass, a voucher for gas. Maybe that person got a job in a fish processing plant or cold storage, and they need a coat so they can work for 8 or 10 hours in a cold environment. So those immediate basic needs are often the first touch that folks have with resource centers: information and referral, immediate direct help, and also, sometimes that is the first contact for community action staff and volunteers to begin walking alongside an individual or a household to help them not only see what is the immediate need, but to assess what are all of the things that might help support this family, this household in getting to stability and setting goals to get ahead. So we're going to hear from our resource center staff today. And we do want to acknowledge resource centers would not be possible without partnerships. So we're going to talk about the partners that make it possible. And then, of course, volunteers and donors, because these resource centers do exist in part because of some government help from county and city and state, but community action couldn't run these resource centers without the generosity of donors, because these types of resources take an investment from the community, and they are not fully funded by government grants and contracts. So the resources you hear about today are made possible by staff, volunteers, and donors. So to get us started, I think I'm going to start with Stephanie Semro. You're sitting in a really amazing facility. Tell us about what is the East County Resource Center?
The East County Resource Center is a spot where anybody can come in, get assistance with paperwork from Social Security, basic food assistance, of signing up, medical, I guess it's Apple Health, being able to sign up for Apple Health. We assist with veterans, uh, some veteran stuff, and then we refer out to people that have better knowledge if we can't handle it. We help with getting people into coordinated entry, and of course the case management, which anybody is welcome to, and they're able to we walk alongside them is the basic thing to assist them to move further and forward. You're muted.
Can you describe the East County Resource Center? So this is it's a building that is owned by the county. So this is a long-term partnership with Skagit County, where they and Community Action partners in East County identified community needs and said, hey, we really need a spot where people can actually walk in, because transportation is expensive. It's hard to get from upriver down into Mount Vernon or Burlington, where more services are located. We want to have a spot where people can actually come. So describe the place.
You Do you want physical description?
Yeah, I walk in and what do I experience if I'm a
You
customer that
would
walks into East County?
you would be greeted by Deanna, who will assess exactly what the needs are and get you the best referrals possible if we're referring out or assisting you to, she'll either forward you to Chandra or Christy for more assistance.
So
And
there's a
and
friendly person at the front desk. And she starts asking a few simple questions to figure out what I might need. And you're talking about referrals, and that might be to community action programs or dozens and dozens of other community partners. You're talking about helping people figure out where to go. But when you say a handoff, who are those other people then? There's a friendly person at the front door, and then what's that next level of assistance that somebody might get? Because I might walk in and Deanna tells me just exactly what I need to know, and I walk out the door and I'm able to take some next steps on my own. But when there is a handoff, what is that like?
there, if we hand off into within the agency, we try to make sure, like with the energy assistance, we will schedule the appointments. We will help assist people signing up for the basic food boxes, senior food boxes. We help people with the senior Meals on Wheels and getting signed up for that. And then if it goes outside the agency, we will try and get them in touch with somebody from a different agency. You know,
It's a warm
it's
handoff.
warm handoff so they aren't feeling like, here's a bunch of information. You just figure it out on your own.
So let's talk about that for a minute, Stephanie. At Community Action, I'm going to show the community resource guide that we publish, which is like a little pocket booklet that has a list of all of our community partners, hundreds of organizations. But that can be overwhelming for somebody who's stressed out, who might be in a crisis, who might be frustrated because they've reached out to other organizations or have been in systems and maybe didn't get the customer service that they were hoping for. So tell us a little bit about what are people going through, and how is it that real world immediate direct help by a real person helps with that stress?
Well, we've often gone and we will sit with the person if they're having to make a phone call and they are to the point of frustration and being overwhelmed. We will sit in the room with them while they make the phone call and walk with them through that phone call. Just due to the fact that if they're on hold for 5 minutes and they're by themselves, they'll be done. They're like, and I'm out. I'm leaving. And if they have someone actually sitting with them, walking with them through the phone call and waiting on hold, and then helping them answer those questions and just being there, essentially walking alongside them, is a huge help. And it, I guess, boosts their morale, lets them know that we care. We will be there for you through whatever the need is. And if you need us to walk with you, then we more than are able and willing to do that.
Well, thanks, Stephanie. We're going to come back to you and learn more. But I'm going to go to Gina next in Anacortes. But before we leave East County, because we're traveling virtually from one end of Skagit County to the other. Community Actions Resource Centers cover the whole county, and the phone covers the whole county. So the main phone line covers the whole county. But the East County Resource Center, our staff also help run a county facility called the Concrete Community Center. So there's both a physical location as a resource center, and there's also a community center. Can you tell us a little bit about what the community center is and how that's helping to meet community needs?
the community center is an area where people are able to get together, sit around a hot meal every day, well, Monday through Friday, and eat, converse, and get that sense of community because a lot of people they don't have that. And that is a partnership between the county and donations essentially that we're able to provide of phenomenal meal program. And then
And
other people come in and they like we right now we have bingo, we have people that are providing, yoga classes in the evening, you know,
and the meal program is more than a meal. It is that connection, that social connection, which also helps give people a sense of hope. How many people a day or how many people a month um, participate in the meal program?
we serve anywhere between 35 and 70 people a day.
And the food comes from the Skagit Food Distribution Center, which is another community action program that gets food out to all of the food banks and most of the meal programs in Skagit County. And I just want to say kudos because your team at the Concrete Community Center, they don't necessarily know what's going to show up. They're not, it's not like a restaurant that can plan and shop. They're working with whatever is delivered and often trying to fill in the gaps because many things aren't available in the food system right now. So congrats. But there's also do you call it a clothing closet or a thrift shop at the Concrete Community Center?
We do have the clothing closet and that's open when the volunteers are here to run it. And we have access to get people in there to get clothing that's needed. And that is all off of donations through the community. They bring in clothes and we're able to redistribute them. The idea is hopes that people not only access to cold weather items or summer items, but the original idea was to get people into clothes that they could go and do job interviews in and move forward in their lives.
And I understand that was a program, a project. It's again, it's unfunded. It's run by volunteers, and that was community action staff getting creative because oftentimes when people would say, "Hey, I've got that job interview. I need some nice clothes." For example, if somebody came to the Mount Vernon Resource Center, we might give them a voucher to go shopping at Fred Meyer or something like that, and they can pick out their own items. But that doesn't work in East County where transportation is a barrier to basic services. So the thrift store was started to fill that need just because our team up there said, hey, wow, this is a need. We need to fill it. So that's particular to East County. That is a particular need for East County. Gina Peterson is our resource center coordinator in Anacortes. And this is a pretty exciting project that came about at the invitation of the Anacortes City Council and in partnership with other amazing nonprofits, where we were asked to come in and help fill some gaps, to not duplicate services, but to fill some gaps. And what are some of those particular community needs that you see, Gina, when folks call you at the Anacortes Resource Center or walk in the door? What seems to be high on the list of priorities for the people you're working with? Oops, you're still on mute.
Good morning, everyone. So the Anacortes Resource Center is pretty new. We're working on expanding as we can. The biggest needs we're seeing right now in our office is low-income seniors needing help with making their fixed income go further. So we are able to help them with getting documents to the energy office to apply for assistance with getting their utility bills paid. And we have really seen a food disparity with low-income seniors in Anacortes. So we are really trying to get the word out about the commodity supplemental food program. It's boxes of food delivered directly to seniors. And this is also a program that's organized by the Food Distribution Center. And it includes fresh produce as well. So it's not just the boxes of pasta and things that people get a little bit tired of. We are also seeing single parents that work in Anacortes who are trying to find affordable housing so that they can live and work in Anacortes. We can provide folks with the affordable housing information, which is lists of programs all over the county. And it's maintained by our landlord liaison. It's a very helpful resource. We can also provide care coordinator case management for eligible households. We have WIC services on
Can I just
site.
stop you for a second?
Yes.
What does that mean? Care coordination for eligible households. What if I want to say, hey, community action can help you with something, how would I tell somebody what care coordination is?
Okay, so it is the walking along with them, similar to what Stephanie described at the level of care that they choose. So if they want help filling out, housing authority applications, accessing housing programs that community action runs, and even helping them access healthcare. It's a wide range of services available, and again, based on what the clients express their need to be.
So an individual might come in and you simply give information. An individual might come in, you engage in a longer conversation and start doing some assessment about needs, seeing what resources might be available. And then based on what their individual goals are, putting that person at the center of solutions. You're not telling people what to do. You're saying, oh, with that goal, here's some options, here's some resources for next steps. And if they need some help, you're helping them take that next step if they're not able to do it on their own.
Yes, exactly. And
Well,
when
go ahead.
sorry, when folks come in or phone, they are greeted by these amazing volunteers we have working our front desk, and they will work with them to access what they might need. We do offer immediate supplies, such as bus passes, snack bags, warm weather gear. And thanks to a very generous donation from Sir Optimus International Anacortes, we have baby items as well.
It was a virtual baby shower.
Yeah, well, yeah, they collect items throughout the year and then pick an agency to donate them to, and they picked us this year. I'm going to add the office phone number and email address. If any of you know of anyone in Anacortes who could use resources, please feel free to send them our way.
And Gina, I asked you to go into care coordination a little bit, but I think you were going to mention WIC.
Oh, yes, we have a WIC staff person on site Monday through Thursday. So people are also able to walk in and meet with the WIC staff person.
And we also have Community Action runs a WIC program that has an office in Mount Vernon at the Mount Vernon Resource Center. And there are also WIC Community Action WIC staff at NAS Whidbey as well. So those are programs that cross county lines a little bit. Thank you so much, Gina. I'm going to come back to you to talk more about partnerships in a minute. So we have resource centers in East County. We have resource centers in Anacortes. Next, I'm going to go to Dulce. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being here. And so that we don't repeat it, because all of our resource centers do some awesome stuff, can you tell us a little bit about the role of resource centers in housing and homelessness? So Community Action helped start the coordinated entry system. That moved over to a partner organization, Volunteers of America, the 211 line this year. And there's, sometimes there's some confusion in the community, like, oh, Community Action doesn't do housing anymore, but actually the resource centers are still a place where people can get into coordinated entry. So if I'm experiencing homelessness and I walk in the door at the Mount Vernon Resource Center, what can the resource center do for me there?
Yeah, at the resource center, like Stephanie said in East County, and like Gina said in Anacortes, we have staff on site that are able to walk alongside clients who need that assistance in navigating 211 and how to go about. We have private intake rooms at the Mount Vernon office where clients can use a phone in there, and they have a private space to share whatever the intake person is asking of them. And we also have staff that are able to sit with clients that need that support over the phone, in person. I mean, to make that phone call over the phone. And while 211 is the access point for coordinated entry, our Mount Vernon office is also a point of entry for coordinated entry. We're partners. We're still involved in coordinated entry. We have multiple housing programs that accept clients through the coordinated entry system, and we haven't stepped away. We're still very much there, and more than happy to help clients access that.
So for those who aren't familiar on this call, coordinated entry is kind of like the big front door to homeless services that most counties have. And 211 is literally a phone number that somebody can dial 211 and say, hey, I'm unhoused, or I'm sleeping in my car. And they can start that process of getting enrolled so that multiple housing providers, all of the homeless service providers, as you said, the partners in the system, have one pool of folks. And whoever has the housing program that's the best fit might help follow up with that person to see if we can get them housing. And so we're going to talk at the end here about good referrals and what not to say. But one thing that every housing provider, every homeless services provider is going to say is, for other service providers who are here, is don't promise anything. Say Community Action may help. Signing up for coordinated entry through 211 is the first step, but we all know that housing is really tight in Skagit County, and there might not be an immediate fix for someone. So one of the benefits of somebody coming in, not only do they get a private room and access to a phone so they don't have to use their own phone minutes, what are some of those other things, other questions, Dulce, that your team might ask to figure out how to provide that direct, immediate support, as opposed to just a referral, like go talk to these other people? What are the questions you might ask to find out what kind of immediate, direct support someone might need?
Some of the questions that we ask them what other area in their situations do they need assistance with. So some might say, my first priority is housing, but I also need help with employment and childcare, and I've got children under the age of 5. So then we start taking small bites out of it, and we engage them in services. We walk alongside them to access our WIC program, to access our employment program, to access a lot of different programs. And we don't necessarily give them a phone number and say, okay, call them, and that's that. And what we want is engagement. We want, some clients do want a light touch resource navigation, and some clients are really opting for that long-term relationship with a care specialist, and wanting to set goals. And while their big goal is housing, there are smaller goals that we can work alongside them to achieve.
That is a great description, and I think it's a great springboard over to Vernon with Skagit Vets Connect, which is an important community partnership. Vernon, I'm going to ask you about the importance of that relationship building and, you know, having a real person and building trust and relationship over time. I'm going to ask you about the impact that that's had. But first, I'll just say Skagit Vets Connect, and I'll show it on screen, is an incredible, innovative partnership that we haven't seen in very many other communities, where Skagit County government, Community Action, and several other organizations partnered to create a resource center just for veterans and their families. And so I'm going to bring up that page. We'll talk more about what Vets Connect is. But Vernon, maybe you could tell us a story about a person or a family, maybe a veteran or a survivor of a veteran, and what that relationship, what that trust, you know, they might have gotten some immediate short-term help, but you started walking alongside them. What kind of a difference has this made in people's lives? Can you tell us a story that illustrates that difference?
Wow, I just had one last week. Guess I'll talk about it in the format of VA benefits. A veteran that unfortunately had cancer. They kind of controlled it. I don't want to say it's in remission or anything like that, but he's not seeking treatment. Now, he was getting paid at 100% due to that service-connected cancer he had.
What does that mean, getting paid at 100%? That's probably something in the veterans world that the rest of us don't know about.
Yes, if you were injured or received an illness after active duty service, we have disability compensation, and we also have what is called a pension that veterans can obtain. And here at Skagit Vets Connect, we navigate that difficult process for our veterans, like the others, hand in hand, and apply for those benefits for the veteran. Now, this one veteran, I applied for his compensation for his cancer. It was a couple years ago, and he was supposed to get another exam, and they did call him or send him a letter about another exam, and it looked like they were going to bump him down to 60% partial disability, which is a huge impact. You go from about $4,000 a month to just over $1,000 a month. So it's a huge income impact. So I saw what was going on, and of course I contacted my supervisor, and we had a meeting with VA. We have that capability to have a meeting with the adjudicators at the VA in Seattle. And they said, you know what? Because of all the complications and depression, anxiety behind his illness, we're going to make you 100% permanent total. He will get that for the rest of his life. And we also know likely that he will probably pass away from that cancer, and his wife will be eligible for VA benefits afterwards. So that's the kind of stuff we do over here regarding navigating the VA compensation and pension programs over here. We do a lot of other stuff as well. I know you were going to talk about some partners. We'll probably get in that later. Oh, go ahead.
Why don't we start with that, because that is the heart and soul of Skagit Vets Connect. So I'm going to show the page again. I don't have a really great photo of the whole facility, but this is located. Skagit Vets Connect is a real place with real friendly people in Burlington, also available by phone. And we've got the face of former Secretary of Defense Robert Gates, who lives in Skagit County and is a community action donor. And donors have made Skagit Vets Connect possible because, again, it's a partnership with government and other nonprofits, and we get a little bit of government money, but Community Action invests heavily in subsidizing all of our resource centers, East County, Anacortes, Mount Vernon, and Skagit Vets Connect. So donors like Robert Gates are fuel to the flame of hope that you all provide at Skagit Vets Connect. And there he is surrounded with some veterans at Skagit Vets Connect. And on this page, you talk about many of the programs that our partners provide. So there's Veterans Assistance Fund, which is funding from the county for immediate direct support for low-income veterans, and that Community Action administers that. There's supportive services for veterans' families. Veterans Affairs, wow, the feds actually have offices at Skagit Vets Connect, and county. And I understand the county is upping its staff at Skagit Vets Connect. So tell us about the programs or the partnerships that really make Vets Connect tick.
Yes, we have referrals, a lot of referrals in one office. So the veterans come here and they may not have to go anywhere else, and we can do it all right here. That's what's important. But I do not want to leave out our East County and our Anacortes facilities, because they do a lot of veteran work as well, and they do it quite well. So they help us in that realm. But here at Skagit Vets Connect Resource Center, we have 2 Veteran Affairs social workers. They help with our homeless and also substance abuse type care referral. We have 2 VSOs, Veteran Service Officers. We will soon have 3 in about a month or 2 here to help our county.
And that's county staff, right?
It's one of community action staff and 1 county staff and 1 Department of Washington Veteran Affairs staff.
Wow.
Yes.
So there's state and local partnerships there. And what's the VA's role? What is this stuff about VASH? What is VASH?
Veteran Affairs Supportive Housing Program. Mainly work with our HUD VASH, and that's our homeless program to get our homeless veterans housed, and basically getting them housed and also providing a subsidy for them where they only pay about 30% of their income. Is huge. The difficult part about this is the amount of housing we have here, but it is a program that is really needed here, and we have vouchers for that program. We have plenty of vouchers at this point. It didn't used to be that way. We have plenty of vouchers, but we don't have the housing.
Let's talk about that. Let's unpack that a little bit. So VASH vouchers are kind of, some people might be familiar with Section 8. It's like a housing subsidy. It helps pay the rent, right? And so VASH vouchers are a federal program through the Federal Department of Veterans Affairs and Housing and Urban Development. And we didn't have them in Skagit County. Other counties had them, but we didn't. And in this partnership with Skagit County and other partners, we're like, this is a resource that we need to bring to Skagit County. So one of the things that Community Action does is advocacy, public policy advocacy. And we worked with our federal delegation and Rick Larson's office. And I think we started out with what, like 20 or 30 VASH vouchers? How many are we up to now that are allotted to veterans in Skagit County?
We're at 70 to 80 vouchers now.
Okay, can I get a woohoo from the crowd here? Because that went from 0 to 70 or 80 homeless veterans who have the opportunity, the resource of a VASH voucher. However, sometimes they go unused because, as Vernon is saying, there's a problem with housing in Skagit County. There's not enough affordable housing available that those VASH vouchers will pay for. So I just want to take this pause for a second in our discussion of resource centers to say this is another opportunity for us to say why Community Action also has gone into housing development. So right upstairs from where Vernon is right now, at 160 Cascades Place in Burlington, is a fairly new housing development called Cascade Landing Apartment Homes. And it's a little over 30 affordable units, or units that are affordable to the people who live there. And many of them are studio apartments. In our needs assessments, we saw like for single veterans or a senior, there were not enough studio apartments available. And sometimes that can be the first home that somebody gets stable in, and then they can move on and get something, maybe a 1-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom apartment elsewhere in the community. So we just want to do a shout out to all of our partners out there who are helping with housing development, the housing developers like Mercy Housing and Catholic Community Housing, the housing authorities, all of our fabulous partners, because we need everyone in it to meet that need. I'm going to ask our other resource centers about partnerships, Vernon, but what else would you like everyone in the community to know about Skagit Vets Connect?
We do the same thing as our other resource centers. I would just, we do that as well. We do that as well, which is so important. And when a veteran walks in our office, I want to file a compensation claim. I need emergency rental assistance. We don't just do that. We do a comprehensive assessment, and we find other things, especially when a veteran can't pay their rent. We look, okay, I'm sure you probably had a service injury or an illness or something like that. And it may take a couple months or a few months or sometimes a little longer, but they may end up with 60 to 70% worth of partial disability, and that will help their income. So that's what's so important. And Liz, you brought up some other things, and the other resource centers brought us some. We navigate the VA system. It is a very difficult process. We know this process. We do it every day. We know what they need. We try to make it as simple as possible for them. And when we get that benefit for them, it's not the end. They still need to keep in touch with us, because there's other things that happen where they may need our assistance again. Death in the family for a surviving spouse or something like that.
Before moving on to other resource centers and their partnerships, that's an important point as well. So Skagit Vets Connect is there for veterans, but also for their families and survivors. And we know that many people who have served our nation are very proud and have done very well in their lives and never sought veterans benefits. And then they might hit hard times, or they pass away and their family doesn't have that provider in the household anymore. And so accessing those benefits, they can go to Skagit Vets Connect. And like our other resource centers, what I'm hearing you say, Vernon, is Skagit Vets Connect doesn't just give information, doesn't just refer someone someplace else, but it's that immediate, direct support of a real human being. And what you mentioned is a human being with expertise. The help, I think of our resource centers as trail guides, right? Like I'm on my journey, I'm on my path, and maybe I've gotten lost, or there's a fork in the road and I don't know which way to go. And I turn around, and the resource centers, the staff and the volunteers there are there to walk alongside me and say, hey, where are you trying to go? Let's make a map together. Let's create a plan based on your goals and where you want to go with your life and the goals of your family. And let's just talk about the first step. Thinking about the whole journey can be overwhelming. Let's look at that first step. Let's choose which direction. Okay, if we're going to go in this direction, here's some opportunities and resources. Can I help you get there? And so I really appreciate that, Vernon. I'm going to now turn to Gina and ask the question about partnerships.
Liz,
go ahead, Vernon.
May I mention a couple more capabilities that we're going to have?
Thing.
We also have a suicide prevention specialist that's going to be with us as well, who will also handle the mental health referrals for our veterans. And it looks like Veteran Affairs wants to put another social worker here as well. So that's a total of 3. So I just can't say enough about the work that's done in the background with people such as yourself, our donor development program. We can't do this without donors at all. Our supervisors, our managers, our executive leaders, we can't do it without the help in the background. Yeah, we're on the front line. We make it all look good and all this other stuff a lot of times, but the folks doing the hard work in the background is difficult. I've been there and it is not easy. So we do appreciate that.
Well, thank you. It is a team effort. So Gina, tell us about your team in Anacortes. Who are some of those community partners that are making the resource center there possible?
Well, as you already said, the city of Anacortes funded this office. And I have been attending the Housing and Community Services committee meeting of city council members. I work closely with Anacortes Family Center when we have mutual clients, and of course, release of information with them. We also attend the Anacortes Community Health Council meetings, which is another private council that wants to learn and spread the word about resources in Anacortes.
It's like a coalition of human service providers, churches, the Salvation Army participates with that as well. I'm gonna go next. Dulce, there's obviously, I'm gonna show the resource guide on screen next. And there's hundreds of organizations in there, and I'm sure you can't mention them all, but maybe mention a few of the key partnerships at the Mount Vernon Resource Center for resource centers generally. And then I'd also like you to tell us about the Community Resource Network and that coalition.
Yeah. So we, like Liz said, we have a lot of partners that we work with that make the resource guide happen. And it's the reason it's full of resources. Some of the key partners that we have are Skagit County Public Health. Sometimes they notice that a resource might be missing or might be outdated, and they'll let us know. We also have really close relationships with Family Promise, and they update us on what's going on with their programs. We also have a lot of programs, agencies that we work with. Volunteers of America, they let us know what their process is for 211 and let us know of any updates that are happening, and how we can support coordinated entry access. And we also have, like Liz mentioned, the Community Resource Network meetings, and those are really open to any person that's providing direct service to clients or to community members that might need some resource navigation. And those meetings, those network meetings, it's really a good opportunity to kind of get as many community members as we can, or agencies, in the same room, virtual room. And we have folks from Whatcom County to Snohomish County attending those those resource network meetings. And we get to share resources, share events that are happening within the community, and also let partnered agencies know how to refer someone to our agencies.
Thanks, Dulce. And, I just want to do a shout out because the Community Resource Network, I think Community Action started it at the request of our partners over 10 years ago. And like many things, we weren't meeting as often during COVID. It went to quarterly meetings, but this year you started it up, and the meetings are monthly again, and that's on the 4th Thursdays of the month, 2 to 3 o'clock. And if anybody would like to get on that list, anybody who's here, if you'd like to know when those meetings are happening, you can throw your email in the chat and we'll add you to the list, or you can respond to the invitation and reminder for this meeting and say you'd like to be on the Community Resource Network list, and you'll get an email once a month. And I have to do a shout out because I've been helping to get it going again, and I saw some remarkable things in the first couple of meetings. And we had a partner from Mount Vernon Library express some concerns about a community need that they're seeing with some escalated behavioral health behaviors and challenges to accessing resources, the need for phone access, and it, brought up some questions about, people who've been trespassed off the Skagit County, or I'm sorry, Skagit Transit bus, what they call an exclusion. And being told that, a customer at the library saying, oh, I can't get to community action, or I can't get to that resource because I'm not allowed on the bus. Well, when she brought up that question or that concern, participants in the community resource network started problem solving about it. And some of us met separately, and we got together with Skagit Transit, and they told us and showed us about their exclusion and restoration process and how uncommon it is, how they try to work with people and not exclude people, but they also have a process for getting reinstated. So our outreach team learned about that and learned how they can walk alongside people experiencing homelessness or behavioral health issues who might have had an exclusion. They can partner, they can be that resource navigator to help that person with the restoration process. And they built relationships with staff at Skagit Transit and the libraries. So now they can all actually pick up the phone and say, hey, I have a customer here who's telling me they're excluded. Are they really? Do they believe this is permanent? Maybe it was just a one-time thing. So it's really, the community resource network is about building relationships. It's, again, not a list of information and referral. It's immediate direct support, and it's relationships with the people we serve, as well as relationships with other providers. And so I'm going to share my screen now. And yes, Stephanie, I am going to leave time for you to talk more about partnerships as well. So on Community Action's website, and thanks to Isabella Ordonez and Josh Ruff, who help us maintain this, under the I'm looking for tab here, we do keep some up-to-date lists of some resources right here on the website, like food banks and meal programs in English and Spanish. So you can find out and print off where are food banks and meal programs in Skagit County. And there's also that resource guide that Dulce was talking about in English and in Spanish. And this is the little pocket guide that providers can print off and staple it yourself, but our staff do this. Again, this isn't something that we have a grant or a contract to do. It's just a need in the community that we're here to provide. And many people, like school social workers or other service providers, will call our Mount Vernon Resource Center or our East County Resource Center and say, hey, I need 20 English and 20 Spanish resource guides. Can I come pick those up next week? And the thing to know about that is that depends on the partnerships through the Community Resource Network, that it's all of these different providers working together to make sure that we're providing the most up-to-date information and referral. So we've got a few minutes left, and before we go to questions, I just want to go back to Stephanie and say, are there any partnerships or shout outs that you'd like to do to talk about all of the community partnerships that go into making the East County Resource Center tick? Oh, you're on mute.
I think a couple of the major partners besides public health is we partner with Mount Baker Presbyterian, and through the MAT program have gotten a lot of people into the MAT program, which is amazing. And
what is that? Some people might know.
Medically assisted treatment. So they are now currently moving forward with their lives and hitting those goals that they want to hit, that we essentially are walking alongside with them.
So it's a medically assisted treatment for substance use disorder.
Mhm.
And when folks get on that, they can gain a level of stability to function in work and home and life. And you partner with Mount Baker Pres because they're the site for the MAT program, and you can help with those wraparound services.
They also, for the past couple of years, have held the emergency cold weather shelters as well. And then soon it will be Dejwalik that will be up here. So
The recovery
Work-
center, the wellness center.
yep. And they will be also working with Mount Baker Presbyterian. So that'll be huge. We partner with Sunrise and Compass Health. They provide telehealth in our office, but beyond that, Compass Health has an embedded social worker in this Skagit County Sheriff's Office up here. And we partner with her when we're seeing some issues arising that could escalate and not have a good ending. So we try to contact her before we have a bad outcome.
Well, Deanna, you just took yourself off mute. We do want to leave a couple of minutes for questions, but go ahead and jump in, our East County fabulous staff.
Real quick, Christy is not here, not attending right now. She is out providing a ride for a client who needed assistance driving after a dental appointment. I just wanted to touch on that and just say that's part of care coordination. Like, she jumps in and helps people, whoever needs that kind of, I know, assistance, and is walking right alongside her for her dental appointment, getting her there and bringing her back. And I just wanted to just say, part of care coordination, that's
And
a very good example of
transportation is a huge barrier in East County. We see it as
Yes.
a barrier elsewhere in the county. And so shout out to Julie, who's on this call. We've got a new manager of mobility and senior services, because again, when community action sees a community need, we try to fill that gap. So shout out to Julie, and that will be a future Brunch and Learn topic. We'll be talking about transportation in the coming months. We just have a couple of minutes left, but I haven't been watching the chat. Would anybody like to jump in with a question for our fabulous resource centers in East County, Anacortes, Mount Vernon, and Skagit Vets Connect? Any questions? All right. Well, go ahead.
I had one question. Is it ultimately your recommendation that clients make every effort to come in person as opposed to trying to navigate through resource systems over the phone or online?
Well, I'm going to jump in and answer that. You'll see at the link that we included for the resource center pages, there are emails and phone numbers.
Okay.
So there's the main line for community action, and then each resource center has its own line if people already have a relationship with those resource centers. And many of the services are available. Lots of information and referral happens via email as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Britta. Great partner from Western Washington University. I do want to just very briefly talk about good and bad referrals. So I get excited when I hear about everything that these folks can do at resource centers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you can do everything. You can solve everyone's problem. That's not a good referral. So a good referral is call Community Actions Resource Center, walk in, email them. They may be able to help. And if they can't help with your immediate need, they are going to look for how they can help with something else. So our team tries to never leave somebody with a no, and do that assessment so that they can find some yes for that individual. So thanks everyone for being here. Look for our upcoming Brunch and Learns on the first Wednesday of the month. And let's give a big woohoo for our resource centers, staff, volunteers, the community partners that make them work, the donors, and the volunteers. Thank you.